Joe, the Red River blowout or shootout, however you want to call it, Texas takes care of business versus Oklahoma.
Yeah, to jump quickly past Oklahoma, we said this in the open. There shouldn't have been an expectation that Oklahoma was going to have some big year this year. What we thought about them coming into the season has become very true. Offensively, their offensive line's just not ready yet for them to compete in the SEC. But on the Texas side of things, I was really impressed by the way that their run game started to show up against what's a pretty strong front seven for Oklahoma. Trey Wisner stepped up. He had a big 36-yard run in the second quarter, 43-yard touchdown. Not long after that, they took advantage of all the turnovers that they were handed. They finished those drives out. I thought that this Texas team was continuing to stack and build opportunities to build confidence and to look competent. Where I am drawing pause, Quinn Ewers looked pretty rusty in the first half and longer, and they didn't really need to call on him to do anything in the third, fourth quarter because they were up by so many points. He can't be that rusty against Georgia. He can't. And I know that a lot of Texas fans are going to scream and yell, oh, they had Georgia gave up 31 points to Mississippi State. That's not relevant for what we're talking about at the current moment. They have the defensive backs that will take advantage of the mistakes that Quinn Ewers made in this football game when they face off with him. We'll save that for tomorrow. But he's got to be cleaner, man. And it does beg the question at a certain point, if he has another sloppy game like this and his team can't bail him out, and I'm not saying he played that poorly, does the Arch conversation start to heat up?
Well, no, because I don't think they're going to do that. I think what I've been saying from the very beginning about Ewers is he is who he is. Has he gotten better at some decision-making and completion percentage? Yes. Knocking off some rust on that first interception, okay, that is fair. I understand that. But there were a lot of things that he did sloppy. But, Joe, that was a really good defense he went up against, right? Like, I mean, I'm not going to take that away from him. I think for me, this is how I look about this outcome or how I look at the outcome. And it's not fair to Texas. And, it is what it is, though. Joe, they have not been tested. I mean, legitimately by an offense, they have not been tested. No. You have two quarterbacks in premier matchups, whether it be Michigan or Oklahoma, who cannot throw the football. Okay? And so when I look at Texas, now you're going to get tested this week versus Georgia, and I get that. Okay? And you're going to have a better team. But, Joe, I look at them and just say the God-obvious thing is I don't know what to make of the University of Texas. I have no clue. I don't know who they are. I don't know if they've been tested in any – like I can see some of the good things that they've done, but against whomst? Like against who? I mean, like, Joe, I'm looking at Oklahoma, okay? Their defense is supposed to be really good. Sounds good. They allowed 177 rushing yards against a team that doesn't have a premier back. I mean, and they don't. They don't have a premier back. I look at that secondary. In the third quarter, Quinn Ewers, 9 of 10. He was 4 for 4 on third down. I get that you don't have an offensive pulse and you start getting tired and you start getting stressed. I get all of that. I get that you have a lot of injuries. But for Texas, I have no idea what to make of them. We're halfway through the season plus. I don't know if they have deficiencies because there's been no offense that's been able to stress them enough to know. Like, Joe, we talk about their secondary. They're top 2 in the country in passing yards allowed, right? But have they played anybody that can stress them? No. So I don't know if that secondary, who was 113th in the country last year in passing yards allowed, are they that good? I'm going to throw this out there. What did we just find out about Ohio State? The worst thing of their defense a year ago was passing yards allowed. What is it now? What happened this past weekend? So for Texas, I don't know. Joe, I want to say this about Oklahoma. You're just going to have to wear this season. You're going to have to wear it.
Yeah, and we said at the beginning of the year, like, stop being so impatient.
Look, their team. Look, here's the truth, man. If you're watching this show and me and Joe are agreeing, that's normally something that's very bad is going to happen for your football team. Because 10 times out of 10, it comes to fruition. Joe, their O-line stinks. They don't have a good enough – they're not good enough at quarterback play. They got injuries at premier positions. This season's going to get rough for them, man, and they got a lot more tests that they got to overcome.
To elaborate on the Texas point that you made before we do jump to the next game, I completely agree with you. I think that anyone who says extremely confidently that Texas has proven that they're the best team in the country I mean, I think it's extremely baseless. There's one great example that we just saw yesterday that has more of a stronger resume and a better performance on that resume. I get that the Michigan win was nice and it was a big momentum builder. And I also get that the Oklahoma win's great because it's over a rival. But what you just said is very true. These are paper tigers that you're beating up on. These are embodiments of
phrase than paper tigers, please.
It's a great phrase for the argument. You're using, it almost feels like you're banking off of this brand value of knocking around premier programs that are half of the teams that they usually are to build up your resume.
And I'm not saying that to their credit, Joe.
Yes.
To rudely interrupt you, to their credit, it's not necessarily their fault. I mean,
right.
In Michigan, I mean, we didn't know like I don't want to take anything away from them. My whole thing is with them, I don't know where you're deficient. Right?
That's
like
what
I don't know where you're going to be tested.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say here is that, like, I'm not saying Texas is overrated. That statement did not come out of my mouth at all. And the point I'm trying to make here. We're not going to find out who Texas is until they play Georgia. That goes in line with what I'm talking about here with Quinn Ewers is the real Quinn Ewers the one we saw against Alabama last year? Is that the real Quinn Ewers? Or is it the one that beats up on Michigan?
Well, Joe, I can make the argument that wasn't the real Bama. Like, Joe, the Bama at the end of the season beats that Texas team.
Georgia will be the hardest team that he has ever faced.
No, that Bama team that he faced 3 years ago.
Well, we got
I mean, Joe, 9 of the 11 guys on that defense got drafted.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Okay. Like, I mean, Georgia's going to be a big test for him, and it's going to be at home. I get what you're trying to say. I'm not ready to go there yet, but I don't know. I think that they're going to definitely get tested. In reference to your Arch situation,
I'm mostly,
Joe,
I'm mostly being obnoxious with that, but
I know you are, but you can't pull him in this one. You can't pull Quinn in this one.
No.
Just you got to let him roll and see where it takes you. All right.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.